If I could get everybody's attention, we're going to call this second meeting to order. The time is now 7:02, so I call this meeting to order of the Columbus Common Council Committee of the Whole for Tuesday, December 5th, 2017. And Megan, when you are ready, if you'd please take a roll call.
Kenny?
Here.
Malat?
Here.
Reed?
Here.
Rule?
Here.
Tome?
Here.
Traxler?
Here.
Hendrickson? Here. All present.
All right. This was notice of an open meeting. At this point, we are looking for an approval of the agenda or a discussion on any of the items. We do have a revised agenda presented to us before today, which includes 2 new items dealing with some fire department issues. So as long as that's noted that those are part of the new agenda, then we can take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. The agenda is approved. Are there any citizen comments or folks signed up for citizen comment back there? Okay. I think for you folks, we'll just wait till we get to your spot on the agenda, if that works.
I have a separate issue.
Oh, if you'd like to take the podium, please, and give your name and address, please.
Hi, Chris Rolke, 546 Manning Street. I live on the new 16 and 60 highway, which is lovely and beautiful, although the new lighting structures make the outside pretty bright. It's like a landing strip. And I was wondering if there could be any dimming of the lights, maybe say past 10 or 12 at night. I understand that bright lights in streets are wonderfully and safe and good for traffic, but they also present an issue with sleep conditions in the bedrooms facing Highway 16 and 60. That's my only comment.
All right. At this point, we are moving on to item number 5, which is the consideration of a chicken permit for Mr. Rolke at 546 Manning Street. This is a tabled item that has come back to us. The application has been revised and resubmitted. I believe some of the key points are we now have a permanent structure with an attached chicken run and some other language in there saying that the chickens will have access to heated water and the like. So at this point, we're looking to consider this application and move forward to the regular meeting on December 19th. So any questions, comments, concerns? I believe we have a neighbor here. We also have Mr. Rolke here if anyone has questions for these folks. Both parties did have ample opportunity to speak and took that opportunity at the last meeting. Mr. Traxler?
Yeah, my question would be for Mr. Rolke. Is the run, is that fenced in and not penetrable by the chickens or outside animals getting into that run?
Correct. It was fenced in. And I'm in the process of redoing the fence. I had the regular, what's called chicken wire in there, and my squash plants kind of grew up around it, and I'm going to put in a little bit sturdier welded wire fence.
Thank you.
Do you have a time frame on that, Mr. Rolke?
Within the next 3 months.
Okay.
But before the grass is long enough for the chickens to be running around in it.
Okay. Thank you. Trina.
Oh, quick question for Mr. Rolke. Of course. Are the photographs current with the new updated improvements?
Yes.
And for the chicken run, are you going to have any covering over it in case they fly up?
So the welded wire fence is 5 feet high, and they can't get airborne within that space. So, and the chicken wire fence was only 4 feet high, and I never had a cover and didn't have an issue with them getting out.
Yeah, I know they don't actually fly, but I know that they can leap up into tree branches. So
They can in
Yes.
short distances, but they got to run for 10 or 12 feet before they can get enough speed to get airborne.
Thank you.
Any other questions or Regan?
I just have some general comments. I want to take the opportunity to thank Mr. Roki for listening to the input that we had last time, and I think making appropriate corrections to your application. But I also want to take the opportunity to thank the neighbors who have come again and participated in the process. I think with this application and these changes, I, for one, don't have a problem moving forward with the permit. I think it's likely what was envisioned when we passed the ordinance, although I wasn't on council then. I am a supporter of chickens in the city. But being part of the process, bringing your opinions forward, your concerns forward, that's all very important in general to what we do. And so I'd just like to thank you for taking the time to do that and the energy to communicate. And I guess that's all I had to say. Again, I don't have a problem moving this forward at this point. I think the corrections to the permit were ideal given our comments.
I would echo those same sentiments, Regan. I think it was very important for you folks to come up, respectfully register your concerns and apprehensions. At this point, I also thank you, Mr. Rolke, for coming back and paying attention to the items and the concerns we had raised the last time. At this point, I think we'll just move this one forward, and we'll take excuse me, Attorney Johnson, you have something to say?
Just 2 comments for when this does come forward to the council at the next meeting. The ordinance that you have specifies that the chicken shall be covered and fenced at all times. Now, it does not draw a difference between living areas and the run. So you might want to, when you if you approve this at your next meeting, you might want to make that part of your motion if you're going to allow the open air run, I guess, as Mr. Rolke is describing it. I don't think that's a fatal problem. It's just something to make sure that everybody acknowledges. And then the second part, which is a little bit more important, is your ordinance has a annual licensing requirement that comes around on January 1 of each year. If you're going to issue a license to Mr. Rolke on December 19, that means it's going to be good for 12 days. So you may want to consider giving him a little extra latitude and make if you approve the license, make it good for all of 18 as well.
Okay.
Those are just a couple of things to think about.
And we could make that as part of an amended motion or something along those lines at that point.
Right.
Thank you very much for those notes, Attorney Johnson. Mayor Tome?
Just a question of procedure, I guess, since this has been here once before and then he's resubmitted the application. Is this technically the public hearing that we had the first time?
I think that the public hearing that you had the first time will suffice for this. The application is significantly better now than it was last time around, and it's being discussed right now, and if anybody wanted to speak tonight, they certainly could.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys for participating, and we will bring this back at the next meeting. Item number 6 on the agenda is consider and discuss replacement of large diameter hoses. Okay. Okay, please.
I'm Heather Stanton. I was here before River Road. Just one note from the pictures that I had seen, which was the bedding material. An inside coop, it's probably not an issue, but an outside coop having shredded paper, if it was covered with chicken feces and urine, it could blow around neighbors' yards. So I don't know how thorough inspections will be or what will be noted, but something that I thought good to bring forward. Just what type of bedding is approved and to make sure that it's not in people's yards. That's it.
All right. Thank you,
Otherwise
Mrs. Stan.
acceptable. Thanks. Thank you, Chris.
Brenda McCauley, and I just first finally got the pictures tonight, thanks to Heather, to see what the new adjustments look like. And I like the way that he's got it set up now, so I just wanted to say that. So does that mean then there's no more of the wandering chicken coop in the summertime? That they're going to be, their run is where they'll be in the summer?
Yeah, that was basically what was brought up the last time we
Yeah.
discussed this, man, was that it's got to be a permanent structure. That's
Okay,
why he
okay,
amended his
just- yeah,
application
yeah.
to show that.
So,
So
yeah,
yes, there
no.
should not be a mobile coop.
So, yeah, no, I like the way he's done it up this way, so.
Great. Well, thank you very much. All right. All right, just making sure I'm not jumping the gun for a second or third time here. All right, so we will bring that back to the next meeting. At this point, we will discuss and consider replacement of LDH or large diameter hoses for the fire department. Chief Kane is here. Welcome.
Good evening, thank you. Patrick, did you share the email that I had sent you to them? Okay, so it kind of spells it out in there. Most of our large diameter hose was purchased back in the 80s and is well beyond its lifespan, as evidenced by the fact that 4 of them burst during our annual hose test this year. So it's better to have them burst during a test than at an actual fire, because it's our supply hose, and if it goes during the fire, we're out of water. So the reason it's being brought forth here is that it's greater than $10,000, and as according to the city policies, anything greater than 10,000 I have to bring to the council. I initially thought I estimated a little high. I thought it was going to be between $12,000 and $13,000. I've got a couple of quotes in. We're looking at between 10 and 11. So the money is available. We do have money in a designated fund with some 2% monies from previous years that were rolled over for this purpose, just like this. So anybody else have any other questions?
Not at all. Thank you for bringing it forward per the policy, and it seems like this is a no-brainer. And at this point, Patrick, we just bring this forward to the next meeting. We'll take the vote to approve the funding.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much, Chief. And I think you're staying put,
Right.
because now we're going to
I'll stay.
consider and review the renewal agreement with the Columbus Rural Fire Group.
Okay. The current agreement ends at the end of this year. Patrick and the mayor and I met with their executive officers earlier this fall and went over the contract. And I brought information forth at one of the budget meetings just to fill the council in on it. At this time, Dean Helwig, who is the chairman of the Rural Fire Group, is going around to the 6 townships at their monthly meetings, just like I'm doing here at this time. So I'm just looking for approval at the next meeting as far as approving the contract, and by then we should have the signed documents back from the townships as well.
Anybody up here have any questions or concerns with the Rural Fire Group contract? Mayor Tome?
I'll just say that I think a lot of the changes in the agreement were basically just trying to bring it up to standard. There was a lot of ye old fire station
Yeah.
references and things like that. So Attorney Johnson went through and reviewed it, but it was basically just general housekeeping of updating the language.
They didn't mention horses, but it was pretty close.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will move this forward as well, and thank you for coming tonight, Chief.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 8, review of Highway 89 issues. Further discussion on CSS and bike lanes.
I think that one's me.
Yes, it is,
Reagan.
sir.
So, yeah, we've been hitting on this for a couple of meetings and trying to come up with a formula for our CSS funds as we're getting used to. Did some further research on some of the options that have been thrown out in terms of what we could request for our grant. And I did get some cost estimates, looked at wayfinding signage. The rectangular flashing beacons, I'm told, does not qualify for the CSS grant. I believe the description was it was more of a safety than an aesthetic improvement. But DOT's willing to have us put it in if we were to put up the funds for it. So maybe it's something we can discuss going forward. But anyway, that kind of left us with the other two things we were looking at in terms of wayfinding signage and native plantings. And for there, we're looking at the signage, $400 to $600 a sign. But of course, that's very variable on what we want to put up. And then, as I raised in the memo, if we're looking at adorning Highway 89, do we want to create a consistency through other places in our main roadways? So that could commit us to some other expenses outside of the project. So I just throw that up for something to think about, something to discuss. On the native plantings, we talked to a plant specialist at UW Extension who said the area we were looking at probably in the neighborhood of $600 to $800 to put in some prairie plantings and those kinds of that kind of vegetation. So the DOT is nudging us to come up with a plan. I don't think we need to nail down specifics. If we tell them these are the general items that we'd like to have included at this point.
And this was project year was like 2022, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll just jump in here. I had a comment.
Oh, sorry, Andy.
That's okay. So, looks like there's about 20,000 reserved for the streetlights. It means we have 20,000 reserved for the streets, about 27,000 left to play with, and we're looking at, a few $1,000s. So, unless I'm missing something, I really need to look at that, what all the options are again. I don't have that list in front of me tonight. It's from a few meetings ago, so I think we should go through that list again and really hammer this out, because we can't do the colored crosswalks because it's not going to be a concrete road. There could be other options, maybe more painting. I don't know, but I need to see that again. And we have the school there. There's options for benches and trash cans.
The RFB thing that Matt brought up last time was a really great idea. I think we all really liked that, and that was going to take a considerable amount of the funding. But
which one was that?
The rectangular flashing beacons at school crosswalks, but it's not aesthetic.
Right.
So
and that was a great idea. And
But you're right. We need some new ideas.
Yeah.
Trina?
Do we have any idea on the price range for bike lanes, if they are allowed? I see that we don't even know if it's an option yet, but.
Well, bike lanes will be part of the reconstruction project, so that'd be secondary or outside of the CSS. So that would not be part of the city's costs. But that's a secondary issue that I think we do need to address tonight, and it's the second half of my memo. So,
how big is that area where we were looking with Trina's idea of native plantings? It's like triangular,
right?
Is that...
in talking with the plants gentleman, I estimated as about a third of it, or 2/3 of an acre, something like that. But that was very lacking in some serious study of the area, just having gone by it, so that, and based on that number I gave him, that was what he.
I was just thinking, as far as another idea, that we could probably just kind of build out on that one maybe and add things other than the native plantings if we look for, yeah, exactly. I was thinking maybe a little walking path. If we knew more of the size, and we could kind of try to spitfire some of those ideas for next time too, maybe. I don't think we have $20,000 worth of area to improve there, but we could beautify that section right across the street from the high school and the soccer fields and the like, so we could capitalize on that opportunity a little more, maybe. I'm not sure where I stand on the wayfinding signage. Mike?
I think if we need to discuss this further, maybe identifying some areas where we can expend that. I mean, we know of the one area where we could put the native plantings, but what are other areas where we could put amenities where we have some right-of-way or city-owned property that we can actually do something with instead of just curb and sidewalks and things like that. We have the stormwater bridge, I guess, down by the bus station. I don't know if there's anything we could do in an area like that. So maybe we can get some ideas.
I know that the corridor currently does have wayfinding signs already there, the older ones that I believe were 2004. But yeah, when we come back with this, we can lay out more of a concept if that's what you're looking to look at.
Where will the construction limits end? Because obviously the road butts with Park Avenue, but is it going to come out into that intersection at all? Or is it just going to end right, 15 feet short of Park Street, I guess? Because that would tell us if we could expend any of those things into crosswalks or something in that intersection, which...
I know it's coming at least to Park Avenue. As far as how far it goes into Park Avenue, I don't know off the top of my head, but...
That would be an area where we could probably improve, like crosswalks and safety issues, and, well, safety may not qualify, but...
The school crossing
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Mike, Jason can confirm this. From what I think I remember saying, that they're coming part of the way out in the intersection to grab some utility stuff. But I can confirm
Yeah, I
that.
think they're going to come out into the intersection a little bit, but I also know that they're doing crosswalks on the opposite side because those are an integral part of the intersection they're improving. So they'll have to improve the crosswalks on the opposite side of Park Street as well. So I think you do have some options there for looking at how to do that. I'll just offer a couple other suggestions that I was thinking of. I mean, you could certainly do some pavers and some terraces at some crosswalks. Again, those could be colored pavers. It's not highlighting the crosswalks, but it can certainly make the terraces look very appealing, especially in those areas, around the intersections too. So I do think that there's some things that, I think I certainly could offer up and for next time as well to kind of add to that list of things that you guys are talking about. Certainly don't want to leave the money that's available on the table, so I'm sure we'll come up with some other options that you guys can consider. So
Great. Thank you, Jason. Trina?
I would definitely like to acquire a few wayfinding signs to the aquatic center in particular. I've had so much difficulty my first time trying to locate it, and I would love it to be more obvious to the general public that's not from here that we have a wonderful aquatic center. Also, I'm wondering if we could add a sign or two that's just a simple welcoming sign for Columbus, to look into some options, pricing.
That might be appropriate at the bench and the plantings, a nice place there.
Yeah, good thought. Any other comments or suggestions at this point? It looks like we're all looking for a few more tangible ideas. Yeah, Rod?
Yeah, I'm with Trina with the wayfinding signs. The more the merrier for people trying to find their way around the city, and with the aquatic center and so forth. So I'm pro wayfinding.
Mike?
I guess as far as the bike lane issue goes then, I'm a little bit curious about the comment that Carla is concerned by some of the negative reaction to the in-street bike lane shown on the current plans and with the change in state law. Are we looking to widen the highway in certain areas to facilitate those bike lanes, and is that going to be the issue?
That's what was alluded to at the public information meeting, and I think that she's just making us aware, because I was there, and those who spoke, some did have concerns about the in-road bike lanes. And with the revelation about the budget provision taking away that condemnation power of DOT, then that raised their concerns about having part of a bike lane and then not being able to acquire another section and the continuity there.
So is that kind of more of a wait-and-see approach to see when you run into, when it becomes impossible? I mean, we've already passed the resolution. So.
That's what I sense, and I think more of it was just to tell us that there may not be a bike lane if they aren't able to put the pieces together, and the pieces are a little bit taller and harder to to jump over, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Anything further on this? At this point, I think we'll just leave it on the agenda, bring it back for the 19th, and see what we have at that point. And like you said before, we have some time. I know they're anxious, but we've got more room on our agendas now.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we now? We're going to move on to item number 9. Consider the appointment of election clerks for the term of January 1, 2018 through December 31, 2019.
I can answer questions about this too. Pat put the list together. She's the one who knows all of these people that I have not yet had the chance to meet until tomorrow, actually.
Nice.
But my understanding is just these are all our current election clerks, and they just need to be appointed for the next 2-year term, and that just needs to be done by the end of the year. So we would ask that that happen at the next meeting.
Okay. Thanks for the information, Megan. And yes, they all look very familiar, these names. So great folks that help us out in this stuff. Mike, you have something?
Only one question. There's one name that's bolded in the list. Is there a reason for that?
Yep, that's the chief election inspector.
Okay.
We are looking to add at least 2 more of those, but we're actually going to talk with them tomorrow to see who would fit that. So we're looking to have more. My understanding in that is that 2 people recently left that role.
Okay.
So we just have the one right now.
Okay, thank you.
Does that have to be decided and established at the next meeting as well, or?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, and we will bring this forward to the next meeting for the vote. Item number 10, nonprofit status use and athletic field agreements with the City of Columbus. This came to light with another contract negotiation this late summer and fall. Basically, I'm not sure how much we want to get into this tonight. I think I would like to have kind of a standard contract example in front of us to kind of look at. But the main gist of this is us to kind of consider, do we really need to have a stringent standard of a 501c3, or is there another designation that can get us to the same result? Is that true, Attorney Johnson?
That certainly is one of the issues for consideration. I mean, a 501c3 organization is a smaller subset of a Wisconsin non-stock, not-profit corporation. They start out the same, and if you are an organization that is going to be seeking charitable donations that are tax deductible to the donor, then you want to pursue the 501c3 designation. If you're simply a non-stock, not-profit corporation whose goal is to basically all income or revenue or dues or whatever you have that brings money into your organization, if you're going to turn around and put it back into the organization, then you qualify as a not-for-profit corporation. Basically, they're the same thing when you start out. It would seem to me with what you are dealing with here with these kind of contracts that the non-profit corporation status is important because you don't want people to profit off of your athletic fields, obviously. Mm-hmm. But the 501c3 is not necessary.
Yeah, it's not really our concern as the city as to whether you can accept charitable donations and provide a tax deduction for those folks. But we are extremely interested in keeping this as a status for nonprofit groups and organizations, as Attorney Johnson stated. So I don't know, I guess I would we do kind of have a template for these things, don't we, Patrick? I mean, the few I've been involved in through Recreation Board, it's kind of boilerplate, so to speak.
They do. They have similar elements. I mean, some have differences, little nuances here and there, but I think under this it would be simply a change out of the line, need a 501c3 instead of a non-profit designation for your organization.
Yeah. Mayor Tome?
I guess just having the contract here, just to say that these are the words that are going to change. Is it 501c3 and or, because there are groups that have been set up in a certain fashion already in the past. I don't think that they're going to change their way of, that they're organized. So I think just looking at the way that it's worded in the contract and how many contracts does this affect, just so we understand where we're putting that new wording into, and I'm comfortable with it.
So I guess I'd prefer to kind of table this and bring it back to the next COW. If there's no objections, then we can proceed in that fashion. Okay. All right, so we'll bring that back to the 19th, and we'll have basically somewhat of a standard language presented by Patrick to us. All right, number 11, review of dark store legislation status in the Wisconsin State Legislature. Would you like to introduce this for us, Patrick?
Sure thing. What I've included is just a setup and some information provided by the League of Wisconsin Municipalities. We've talked about the dark store issues that are before the state legislature and how important they are and how they affect our community. So the league has provided just some talking points and potentially a press release to show our support to have this legislation approved. So per your urging, Reagan, we put this here for us to talk about, and a press release is one way to go. I could reiterate or send again the resolution that was passed. I'm just looking for some thoughts on this issue.
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, definitely a big issue for communities of any size, but especially for a community of our size. So the resolution, I think, was a good first step. This notion of a press release, I like on the surface of it just because it's maybe another approach rather than just reiterating our previous resolution. Mayor Tome?
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of information pushed towards me through the league right now about this issue since it didn't get a floor vote this fall, and that the league is trying to organize this effort statewide to see if they can bring this back out. There's obviously a lot of support for it, that it received committee votes, so I think the press release in combination with hopefully all of us participating as individual elected officials as well, contacting our elected officials, may get them to act on this. So I say we do all that we can do to force the issue.
Absolutely. Matt?
I agree. I think a press release, kind of like the general language, I guess, if we do that, just make it as easy as possible for people to voice their opinion, maybe include contact information for our representatives, make it just basically really easy. They can read it right in the paper and say, oh, I'll call right now, the information's right in front of me, as opposed to having to make it as easy as possible for them to do what I have done and I encourage others to do already.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would encourage anybody up here and anybody listening or in the community that, thinks this is an important issue, reach out to Senator Fitzgerald and Representative Jagler and let them know your feelings on this. But I would really like to move forward, with the press release and like Mike said, anything we can do to kind of call more attention to it and encourage all of us up here to do our part as well.
My thought is the press release was really boilerplate from the league. So if with the council's okay, we would massage it a little bit, make it more applicable to our community and send it out. And we don't need any formal approval of that. If there's support here, I think dark store legislation day is December 11th, so we won't have, we need to act pretty quickly.
Yes, absolutely. I'm fine with it not coming back here. We're all on the same page here. So, Mayor Tome?
I'd be happy to help you out, Patrick, if we sit down for 15 minutes and kind of go through and personalize it for the community, and then I can pick my favorite quotes.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. All right. Item 12, we need to consider rescheduling the first meeting of the 2018 year, which is set for January 2nd. So everybody scramble for your phone on your calendar, whatever.
I think we should do it on Monday. That would show true dedication.
Right.
I don't think we should do it when the city offices are closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be okay with pushing it back just to the next Tuesday.
Do we then subsequently push the next one and do the 9th and the 23rd?
Still get both in.
That would be up to you.
This looks like there's enough room in the month to make that happen.
There
It does,
have
and
to
so many
be-
times we have stuff where we're kind of giving an instruction for a follow-up or additional information and the like, so sometimes it's nice to have that 2 weeks in between time.
Yeah. January has the 5 Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
I like the concept because you still get the 2 weeks, but I'm going to run into problems starting this year with doing alternate Tuesdays because of obligations my wife has on those nights, so that might make it hard for me to be here.
Well, and we could move the 2nd to the 9th tonight and start with that, and we could worry about the 16th versus the 23rd next time. Is everybody okay with moving it to the 9th?
I'm also okay moving it a couple days forward to like to Thursday or something.
Yeah, true. Good point. I'm kind of stuck in the Tuesday rut.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't, as long as there's not other meetings, with commissions and
Yeah, generally
committees, so.
the first week of the month is usually fairly open. So
I was leaning towards moving it a day or two ahead, but
I'm fine with the Wednesday or the Thursday, the 3rd or the 4th.
I could make those work as well. Thursday would be...
Me as well.
I'll just chime in. I think Thursday would be good for me.
I like Thursday the 4th, too. Seems like
Is Rod golfing one of those days?
in January?
I am not golfing on the 4th.
Just want to make sure.
It's going to snow, so.
Thursday's my workout day, so that'll be...
All right, so at this point, we'll move the previously scheduled January 2nd meeting date to January 4th, which will be a Thursday. And at this point, we will leave the 16th where it is, our regularly scheduled 3rd Tuesday of the month. Okay. Looks like the next 2 items are closed session items. Patrick?
yeah, can I just chime in? I guess I was preoccupied when we were going in between the meetings, but the item 15, the closed session, we won't need tonight.
Okay.
So.
And I don't anticipate the first closed session item leading to anything that we'd need to take action on after. So at this point, we could probably say our goodbyes for the evening. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to convene into closed session. We do not have any other items on the agenda following that, and we do not anticipate the need to take action after the closed session. So at this point, we're going to say goodbye to those folks who are tuning in and live streaming, and thank you very much, and we will see you Tuesday, December 19th at 6:30 p.m. Have a good evening.